Hey everyone, it's Anna. Welcome back to my channel and thank you so much for visiting. I'm coming on this afternoon to share the December 2023 limited edition set from Impression Obsession with you. I can't even believe we're to the month of December. I don't know where October or November went. They just vanished in my world. But here we are in December, so let me go ahead and show the set to you and the other products that I used, and then I'll share my samples with you. So I truly loved using this month's stamp set. It has beautiful images in it that were very relaxing to use, oddly enough. So the first image here is a forest, which you can see has snow built up into the trees. And there's a little deer walking out, and she's got little tracks left in the snow there. The sentiment here, my thoughts are with you, is separate from that image. So even though it looks like it may be part of it in the way that they've done the packaging, it's actually a separate sentiment there. The second image is like a little neighborhood, maybe a rural neighborhood where you've got a house and an outbuilding and maybe another house with an outbuilding. And you can see that their roofs are covered with snow and their trees have some snow on them too. This season's greetings sentiment is also separate from that image, so you'll have actual 4 separate sentiments here in the set. And then my absolute favorite image in this set is this scene here. You've got another homestead here with their outbuilding or barn. The trees have caught some snow. I love that the little detail of the hill behind the house and the barn. And then I love this little rail fence that comes through the image as well. Peace on earth, and then may your heart be filled with the quiet peace of this season are also really beautiful sentiments. I think this one would really be beautiful used inside a card, which I didn't finish the inside or the backs of my cards yet, but that's what I'm planning to put on the inside. So I love this set. I can't tell you how much I enjoyed using this particular stamp, and I made a card using this stamp as well. But as soon as I used this stamp, I just had to keep using it over and over. So you'll see several cards that I used that stamp on. And of course, if you are familiar with Impression Obsession stamps, you know that they make them beautiful red rubber stamps, and they're already mounted on cling foam for you, so they're ready to use when you receive them. And this is just a beautiful set. You can see that I used these two a lot. They're quite stained from my inks still. But so let me go ahead and share the other sets or stamps that I used and the other a few other products that I used, and then I'll show you my samples. So I used this cover a card stamp. This is called Ledger, and this is a beautiful stamp. It's about 5 3/4 inch square. It has some distressing up in the corners here. You can see all these little polka dots. Those are distress marks. It has numbers that go down both the left and the right side of the stamp image, and it is in a true ledger layout. So I really like this stamp. And then I also used beauty text, which this is one I use very frequently. It's just really small text, book text in a typewriter font. And it also is 5 3/4 inches square. So it's one of their cover a card stamps. I'll put links to those 2 stamps in the description box for you. So if you're interested in those, you can find them fairly easily. And then some of the other products I used, I did use a little bit of this twine here. This twine is from Creative Impressions, but you can get this same twine from May Arts and other sources too, I'm sure. I don't know that Creative Impressions is in business any longer. I've had this roll of twine for years and years and years. And then I also used this twine here. This is a natural jute from the Dollar Tree from their Crafter's Companion area. And so this is a really nice lightweight jute twine. I also used some eyelets. I know these are old school, but I need to be using my stuff, so I pulled these out to keep here on my desk, and keeping this little container out on my desk is doing the trick. I'm reaching for this a lot more frequently than I do when it's back in my storage closet where they're supposed to be. So having things on my desk apparently is what makes me use them. And then I also used this watercolor palette from my friend Gabby. This is the Coliro Pearl Colors palette, and I used this moon gold color here. So really beautiful set. Thank you so much, Gabby. I love using that. And then I also used A couple other things. I used this Newman Lake watercolor set, and I just watercolored my images very lightly, you'll see, but this set did a wonderful job with that technique, a very light wash of color. So this was a really good set to use, and I use it all the time. I used also this pearly white shimmer, and I do believe then the other shimmers I used on the cards were the other Colero set. And then I also pulled out some of my own personal stamps to use on my projects. And it should not surprise you if you've been watching my videos for the last month that I used some postage marks and some stamp cancellation images. I used this little random cube here, and I do believe I may have used like this round postage mark as well. So if you have anything like this in your collection, pull it out, give it some love, show it some daylight. These have been really fun to use. I've really enjoyed using those for the last, I don't know, couple months. So let me go ahead and show my samples to you. So this is the first card that I made. I used this deer scene. I loved painting this little image here with just a faint hint of brown on some of the tree trunks, and then just catching a little bit of the shadow of the forest by adding some blue. So you can see very, very easy to watercolor. It did not take even a moment of time. I also added just a little bit of blue where the drop shadows would come out of the forest because of the trees, and then just a smidge of it of blue where the deer's footprints are. Here you can see where I added the eyelet, and the eyelet goes through this watercolor layer, it's matte, the blue layer, and it's matte, but it doesn't go through the entire card base, so the inside of the card is nice and clean. And then once I had the eyelet set and the bow tied to these 4 pieces, then I was able to adhere them as a section down to the base of the card. I used my faux stitching wheel, my tracing wheel, to add a bunch of faux stitching on the panel as well, not only on the watercolor panel here, but also on this layer as well. And here you can see where I used my personal stamps to add some details down here and then up here as well. My thoughts are with you, I think, is a very beautiful sentiment. I love the font that they used. On the background here, you can see where I stamped the beauty text and the ledger. So there's the two background stamps are there. And then I used this beautiful blue color, smoky blue colored cardstock from Stampin' Up, I think. This is also watercolor paper. It's B watercolor paper. I'll put a link to it. It's a pad of watercolor paper I picked up at our local art supply store, but they do sell B watercolor paper on Amazon as well. So I'll put a link to that too. But I think this card turned out really nice. I did sprinkle this one with that pearl watercolor from the Newman Lake watercolor set. So it's like just a faint pearl sparkle rather than the moon gold. So you can see it down here. So it turns really pretty. You can see it up there as well. So that's my first card. The insides of all of my cards are still blank. Like I said, I think I'll probably put that sentiment inside, and then I haven't finished the back of my cards yet either. So still have those to do. So the rest of my samples look very similar. It's the same layout, just some small detail changes. So here's the second card. This card I painted with a little more color. I wanted the sky to look like it was a sunset, and you know how in the wintertime when you see those really beautiful pastel sunsets and they cast such beautiful shadows on the snow. So that's what I was going for here with the pink sunset and orange sunset in the background, and then the cast shadows on the roofs of the barn and the house, and then all the cast shadows that they would cause as well. You can see that I left areas of the trees where the snow is. I just left those unpainted, and that was really easy to do. And then I added some blue here where that cast shadow would be from the tree as well. Season's Greeting is probably my favorite sentiment from the set. And here you can see where I used my own stamp cancellations and postage marks to add a little bit of detail up here in the sky. And then this card, in addition to adding the beauty text on the colored layer, the cardstock layer, and the ledger on there, I also added the beauty text very lightly to the stamped image as well. I think that looks really pretty. And then this card got a splattering of that moon gold Colero watercolor. You can see all of it, especially over here. up in the sky too. So I think it looks really pretty. It looks like it's, you know, snowing. Big globs of snow, huge big snowflakes. So, and this card, I used a beautiful green for the base of the card here, and did a little bit of my personal stamping on here too. And then I also did the same thing with my tracing wheel by adding faux stitching. And this one, I distressed the edges. The first card, I didn't distress the edges at all, but I felt like this kind of looked, I don't know, a little unfinished. So I decided to stress those edges, and I think that really finished the card off. So you can see I added a really nice twine bow, and again, that's the twine from the Crafter's Square roll. And I think it looks really pretty. And this eyelet too is just set through the 4 layers and not the card base itself. So a nice clean finished look for that. So I think this one turned out really beautiful. So the other samples that I have to share with you are the same image, because once I used this once, I had to keep going. I couldn't stop using this particular image. So here's the second card. The only difference really is the background color that I chose to use behind the painted layer and the placement of the twine. So this card is very similar to the previous one, but I think it's so beautiful. And I love how this turns out up in the sky. Just the added stamping there. This card also is just watercolored with a light sunset from fades to orange to pink. And then again, I just used the same blue. This one I added some yellow watercolor in the windows of the house to make it look like you could see that the lights were on inside, like a nice warm candlelight maybe. And gave it a nice splatter with that moon gold watercolor. And I think that just looks so pretty. So there's that card. And I love that there's the complement of from the base of the card here to the yellow in the windows. I also added a little bit of yellow in the barn windows as well. And then my next card, surprise, surprise, uses the same image. Oh, I also used, on this card, I used a little snippet from a Tim Holtz ephemera pack as well. That's what that little piece of paper is, just adhered on there. And I distressed the edge of it there, so it looks kind of rough and ragged. Here's a smaller bow using that other twine from Creative Impressions. And I also set an eyelet here as well. So before I tied my bow. And so this card is just, again, very similar. This card I chose to use kind of a mustardy olive color for the accent color behind the painted image. And this one I watercolored very faintly. I did the sky very lightly, but I still did the same stamping here with the beauty script, and I think that turns out really cool. I did distress this edge again. So again, very, very similar to the other cards. And then the last card that I have to share with you uses this same color because I loved this so much. I wanted to make another card. So here's the fourth card. And again, I just think this turned out so beautiful. I love the extra stamping on this image. I just think this is so pretty. I could make 100 of these and probably not tire of making them. It was just that enjoyable to make these. And then this one, I set the eyelet through the entire card. So you can see the eyelet is there. And I added the twine here like it's a tag. So I wanted it to go through the entire card so that you could see this detail, the mechanics of that inside. So, and then instead of tying a bow, I just left the ends here straight. So, but these were so enjoyable to make, and I'll probably make more because honestly, it was that fun to do. And so easy too. You wouldn't think that this would be fast, but you know, it's really just one stamp, some splashy watercolor, some cancellations, and some more splashes. Very enjoyable cards to make. So I hope you're inspired. I loved making these cards, and I hope you enjoy them. I'll put links to the limited edition set down below where you can find this set. It'll be available for 2 months from Impression Obsession, and then that's it. It won't be available any longer. And I don't know. I just think this is a beautiful, beautiful set. And if you like these cards and you don't have anything like this in your stash already in your stamp collection, I just think this is such a beautiful set to have. So thanks so much for watching. I have loved doing this limited edition release with you this year. This is our 12th month of it. And I hope Impression Obsession continues something like this in 2024. So we will see. I actually don't know if they're going to. So, but thanks so much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed this series. I've certainly enjoyed bringing it to you, and thank you so much. Enjoy your day, and I'll talk to you again very soon. Bye.